We will now start the regular press conference with Foreign Minister Hayashi.
Well, first of all, there is one thing I would like to say to you at the outset. Well, today, 8th Foreign Ministers meeting of Central Asia and Japan dialogue will be held online. I will chair the session, and Deputy Prime Ministers and Foreign Ministers of Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, and Turkmenistan will attend. Central Asia and Japan dialogue was launched by Japan's initiative as a framework for dialogue and cooperation with Central Asian countries in 2004. Japan took the lead in the world with Central Asian countries who are partners for sustaining and strengthening international order based on rule of law. Views will be exchanged at the session aiming at sustainable development of the region. At the meeting, cooperation between Central Asian countries and Japan will be reaffirmed. Japan's position on Ukraine situation and Afghanistan situation will be conveyed for discussion. We hope also to make the meeting an opportunity to confirm unchanging solidarity between Japan and Central Asian countries, marking 30th anniversary of our diplomatic relations this year. Thank you. That's it from me.
We will now take questions. When you are called, please proceed to the microphone and ask your question. Aoki-san, please. NHK, Aoki. I have a follow-up question to what you have just mentioned. Regarding Central Asia, the visits are being considered at the moment, taking into consideration the current global situation. What is the significance of this policy?
As for my visit to overseas, nothing has been decided. But if I may, Japan took the lead in 2004 to launch Central Asia and Japan dialogue as a framework for dialogue and cooperation with Central Asia countries, which is located at a geopolitically important location connecting with East Asia, South Asia, Middle East, Europe, as well as Russia. As I said, Japan has been promoting diplomacy to contribute to peace and stability of the region and the world, and dialogue will be held this time. This is a commemorative year marking the 30th anniversary of Japan-Central Asia diplomatic relations, and we have been promoting the diplomacy in that vein. As I said, this year marks the 30th anniversary of Japan-Central Asia diplomatic relations. And based on the recent developments in international arena, as a partner to build together international order which is free based on the rule of the law, we would continue working to strengthen partnership with these countries.
Yoda-san of Yomiuri, please. This is Yoda of Yomiuri Shimbun. Yesterday, the Russian fleet had drills in the Japan Sea. What is your take on this?
Yes, we know about that announcement that you had referred to. As for the Russia's aggression against Ukraine, is a conduct which shakes the foundation of international order. Japanese government condemns it with the strongest term. And given these circumstances, we should refrain from making conduct which will heighten the tension in the Northeast Asia. From this viewpoint, the behavior by the Russian troops is very much concerning. On the April the 14th, through the diplomatic route, we had made our representation strongly to the Russian side and conveyed our concern.
Sankei Shimbun, Sugimoto-san, please. This is Sugimoto of Sankei Shimbun. Regarding G20, I have a question. At the G20 summit meeting, Russia's participation is being the exclusion thereof is being called for by several countries. Some countries are saying that they will not participate if Russia is participating. But there are also APEC and other multilateral organizations as well. On the part of Japan, for G20, the Russia's participation, going to object to that? And furthermore, regarding the calling for exclusion of Russia or the lack thereof, in making such a decision, what are the points, the factors that must be considered?
Well, of late, the G20 finance ministers meeting will be held next week. And the international community thinks that because of the Russia's aggression against Ukraine, relationship with Russia cannot be continued as business as usual. At the G7 leaders meeting held the other day, as you had mentioned, the international organizations and multilateral fora had concurred that activities with Russia cannot be conducted as business as usual mode. As for the Russia's participation in G20, the presidency country is Indonesia, so that a discussion will be held amongst the G20 members, inclusive of the presidency country, and based on the situation as it unfolds, government will appropriately deal with it.
I have a follow-up question. In that case, at the G20, the presidency to Indonesia, are you going to be taking initiative on the part of G20 to the Indonesian presidency?
You are talking about not allowing the attendance of Russia, right? Yes. So as for the Russia's participation in international meetings like G20, exchanges of views will be held with like-minded countries and the presidency countries concerned. And based on the situation as it unfolds, government will appropriately deal with it.
Sawai-san, please. Terebi Asahi, Sawai. In European countries, Italy and France are now resuming the embassies at Ukraine. In terms of Kyiv. On the other hand, Russia is saying that they could attack Kyiv and other institutions in Ukraine. So what is the view of Japan in terms of embassy going back to Ukraine? I have another point. Now, Prime Minister Johnson went to Kyiv, and the U.S. is also considering official from the government to visit Kyiv as well. What is the plan for Japan? Is there going to be a surprise visit to Kyiv?
We know about the announcement made by French government about their move to resume the embassy operations locally. Well, presently, Russia continues with the attack on various different places in Ukraine, and a large number of innocent civilians are being killed. Atrocities continue. And also, we are aware that the suggestions has made about the possible attack on the central part of Kyiv. So, government is gathering information on local situation. And through Japanese embassy in Poland and liaison office in Rzeszów, maximum efforts are being made to provide information, securing safety, and assisting the departure of the Japanese residents locally. We will monitor the situation closely and will continue working closely with the relevant countries and appropriately deal with it. Also, about your second half of your question, what about sending Japanese important persons over to Ukraine? Anything has been decided or not? Nothing has been decided on this point. We will look into the situation closely of the local situation and work closely in coordination with G7.
Higuchi-san, please. Jogo Shimbun. My name is Higuchi. On the part of the United States, on two occasions, a subcritical nuclear test was conducted. two times. This is come to the fore. This is likely to be modernization of nuclear arms. What is your take on Japan?
We know about the related news reports, but we are not in the position to explain the activities of the U.S. administration. I would refrain from making comment. But as you had mentioned, Japan is the only country who had experienced atomic bombing. And because of that, we would firmly deal with the issue of making the world without nuclear weapons. At the Japan-US summit meeting held virtually in January, Prime Minister Kishida mentioned about his thoughts on the nuclear disarmament based on realism, and President Biden expressed his support. Two leaders are confirmed to jointly continue working toward making the world without nuclear weapons. On the other hand, given the severe security environment surrounding Japan of late, deterrence, inclusive of U.S. nuclear power, is essential for Japan's security. So we will continue to build more on our trusting relationship we have with the United States and make realistic approaches.
Kyoto, Maeda-san, please. I have a question regarding Japan and ROK relations. There's less than 1 month for the inauguration of the new president. How are you going to improve the Japan-ROK relations going forward? Furthermore, are you going to be sending dignitary to the inauguration?
The international community is now faced with epoch-making changes. And the sound Japan-ROK relationship is very important for realizing the international order based on the rule, as well as affirming peace, stability, and prosperity of the region and of the world. And including the launch of ICBM-class ballistic missiles. The other day, DPRK's nuclear and missile development is becoming ever more active, including the dealings with the DPRK. The trilateral partnership will be important amongst Japan, ROK, and the United States. So back in 1965, our diplomatic relations have been normalized between Japan and ROK, and based on the friendly cooperative relationship, we need to develop further our bilateral relationship. We expect very much from the leadership of incoming President Yoon Suk-yeol. As for the dealing with the inaugural ceremony of incoming president with regard to the Japan-ROK exchanges and meetings, at this time nothing has been decided specifically, but for the sake of improving Japan-ROK relationship, we will continue having a communication at appropriate level at appropriate timing with the people in the new administration, inclusive of incoming President Yoon.
Yomiuri Shimbun, Yoda-san, please. Once again, this is Yoda. Regarding the Russian diplomats, the expelling of them, it's been 1 week since the announcement has been made by MOFA. Have they already left? What is the status? And going forward, it is likely they have said that retaliatory action will be taken by Russian side. Does that going to have an impact on the embassy operations in Moscow, please?
Based on the Ukraine situation at the moment, Japan made a comprehensive judgment and decided to ask 8 diplomats working for the Russian embassy here in Japan, as well as persons working for the trade mission here, to leave the country. And on the April the 8th, Administrative Vice Minister Modi conveyed this to Ambassador Galugin of Russia in Japan. And Vice Minister Modi conveyed the timeline within which people should leave the country, but we will not divulge specifics. As for whether those 8 people had already left the country or not is something we would like to refrain from making comment. So what has been the reaction from a Russian side? we made a request for the leaving of the country of the diplomats concerned. And the spokesman of Russia is saying that they will deal with it, making responses accordingly. But its details have not been disclosed, so we cannot prejudge the situation at this time. Well, so far countries have decided to expel some of the Russian diplomats likewise. And accordingly, the reactive measures have been made by Russia. Whatever the reaction will be from Russia, Japan will make utmost efforts to protect the corporate activities and the Japanese people living in Russia.
The time's come to bring this press conference to a close. Thank you very much for your attendance today.